It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish. If this is your very first time tuning in, a huge welcome. The Divas That Care is now in our 16th year. We're listened to over 35 countries, and it's because of all of our amazing guests, our hosts, all of our tribe out there that we're able to do this. So we're so happy that you have joined us today. Right now, we are working on a new podcasting series called Determined Not Distracted. This mini series serves as your blueprint for a high impact year, distilling success into three non negotiables: goal clarity, resilience, and commitment. By sharpening your focus, hardening your mental toughness, and anchoring your habits in discipline, you'll shift from chasing temporary inspiration to achieving unstoppable year long momentum. Today, I am very, very excited to be having Lisa Woodruff in the house today. I was going to say, just because she is absolutely perfect for what we are talking about in this podcasting series. So, Lisa, welcome to the Divas That Care.
Candace, thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh. As I was mentioning right before we started, I am very, very excited to be chatting with you. I had the opportunity to go through your website. I was going through things. I wrote, I don't know how many pages of notes just because of the things that you're doing. And it really inspires me. I did a personality test the other day, and organization is something that I am lacking in. So I think that having you on here is going to help my life. So I'm going to be using all your knowledge just for me today.
Okay, that's fine. Everyone else will just listen in.
Everybody else will just listen in. So Lisa, before we start, would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners?
Sure. My name's Lisa Woodruff. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm 54 years old. I think it's helpful to know, how old you are and where you live in the world. It really informs what you do. I was a born organized person, and I love to organize. I organized my mom. I organized the kids I babysat for. I organized my colleagues when I was a teacher. And then in my 30s, life got moving too fast and kind of ran me over, and I was disorganized. I was like, whoa, I didn't know if you were organized, you could get disorganized. And how do you get organized again? And so I got myself organized and started an organization company when I turned 40. And it was then that I realized that you could teach people who were never organized in their 20s, 30s, and 40s how to be organized later in life. And because I have a teaching degree and I'm a teacher, I set out to figure out, how do you teach people the skill of organizing if A, they've never been organized, or B, they were organized in the past, but the organization that served them then is not serving them in their current phase of life.
I love that. And I always said that I was an organized person, to be honest, Lisa, but my kids have informed me that I'm not organized. I'm like chaos. I have a crazy system of organization that nobody else understands but myself. So I love that you have started a company that's called Organize 365. And I really want to dive into that because there is so much to talk about today because your company is so large, to be honest. I went and I watched all your videos, and I really loved how you kind of got started. You were talking about your family, and it's just beautiful to see that. And maybe we should start at the beginning and then we'll kind of dive through the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, I want to address something you said. You said that your kids say that you're chaotic or your house is chaos. And the thing I would say to you is, and what I would like all women to hear me say as someone who is organized and a professional organizer, of course our lives are chaotic. Like on Instagram this morning, which won't be appropriate when you post this, but I showed, like, my husband was like, oh my gosh, the kitchen looks so great. So I panned the kitchen. It looks beautiful. And I stopped and I did another story, and then I kept the camera going, and you could see all the piles everywhere else. Like, everybody's life has piles. Nobody's house looks perfect, number one. And number two, of course you don't have systems at home. Why would you? Like, we aren't born with home systems. When you go to school, there's systems. You have a locker, you have a schedule, there's a place to do recess, there's a place in your household. You have to create all that from scratch. And you do it for yourself, and then you have one baby and it goes all cattywampus, and then you get organized again. And then maybe you have another one, or you get married, or people move in and people move out, and your mother-in-law breaks something all the time, then you have to care for them. And so you're constantly changing the people that are in your household, the needs that they have, the stuff that they have, which is a nice way to put it. And it's constantly changing. Why would you expect that you would be an expert at organizing all of that just because you're a female? And I think that's what we do. We're just like, well, we've lived in houses before and we're women, so we surely can organize every person through every phase of life, including ourselves. And the answer to that is absolutely no. No one can. So it's an unrealistic expectation you're putting on yourself.
I love that.
I didn't even answer your question, though.
No, you didn't.
I didn't answer your question.
That's perfect, because that's exactly it. And I always say, like, after having 4 daughters, it's like, oh, my life is all over the place.
Okay, well, there you go. I only have 2. So see?
So you started this organization, and how did it begin? That's probably how did it all start, and how did it become to what it is today?
Yeah, so the actual company started right before my 40th birthday. So my birthday's in March. I started the company in January, and I started it because I was failing in everything. I was failing in work. I was failing in my marriage. I was failing in my parenting. I was failing in keeping control of my own body. I was depressed and overweight, and just all the things were going wrong. And what I realized I had to do, and I said this to my husband as a question, but it wasn't a question. I said, I'm going to quit my teaching job and I'm going to come home because these kids need me to be full-time at home, even though they're in middle school. And I'll start some kind of company and I'll make money that way. And he's like, fine, whatever. So I'd been in a lot of direct sales companies. I'd made money before. So I knew I could make money. But I also knew that no one else could be the parents to the kids that I had, and that I really needed to step in as their parents. Otherwise, I would have regret for the rest of my life. So I quit my teaching job. It wasn't paying me enough, but at least it was paying something. Came home and I was like, okay, well, you're going to turn 40. You got to make money and you've got to get hold of this house. What are you going to do? And when I really looked back on my lived experience, babysitting, my mom, with the teaching that I had and everything, I realized that I was either hired for a job because I was organized, or I was successful because I was able to organize someone else. So organization was the through line. So I started a company called Organize 365 back in 2012 because I knew just a little bit about SEO from the bloggers around here. And I knew you wanted a good keyword. So organization is a good keyword. And I could talk about organization for 365 days a year for the rest of my life. And I would just build a company on that, having no idea what would happen. So fast forward, the first 3 years I did in-home organizing and represented a direct sales company that doesn't exist anymore. Then I started my podcast and started developing online courses. Then I got a patent for the Sunday basket, created that product, and created binders that replace your filing cabinet. And then I created a certification, and on from there. I just kind of made a school. Like, as a teacher, I was like, what do you need in order to learn how to get organized? And then I just kept making this. This is what teachers do all the time. Any teacher in any building, the first time they have a class, they teach them how to do math. And then the next year they add in new ways and new ways and new ways, until a teacher who's been teaching for decades, I mean, their math classes are so fun and so robust because they have so much learned experience. That's what Organize 365 is. I have been teaching people for 14 years online how to get organized, and all of my students, their successes and failures have informed how I continue to pivot and iterate going forward.
Oh, and that's brilliant. And I do want to talk a little bit more about the Sunday baskets, because I went to your testimonial part and I was listening to the ladies chatting. I'm like, we need to talk a little bit more about that, because those were just amazing testimonials.
So the Sunday basket is what I think is the missing operational system in households. We have 0 operational systems in households. When you really think about it, it's mind-blowing that we are able to do what we're able to do with usually no budget and cobbled together whatever we're doing in our households. And every single business in our household is a business. Every single business needs to have an inbox, like a place where you put mail. It could be electronic mail, real mail, text messages, direct messages, like all that communication that comes at you, plus your own thoughts that you have in your brain, plus the projects you have that are ongoing, plus the people that you're organizing and taking care of. You address all of those in a business, in planning meetings, in weekly planning, but at home, we don't have that system. So I created the Sunday basket 22 years ago when my second child was born, and I realized I wasn't getting anywhere. Like every time the kids would fall asleep, I would reorganize my stack of things to do. And by the time I knew what I needed to do, somebody would wake up. And I was like, I have to know when I get a pocket of time to work what I should be working on instead of just reorganizing my to-do list. So I created that back in 2002. And then when I started the company in 2012, I kept talking about this Sunday basket and creating all these other courses and products. And finally, I was like, oh, the Sunday basket is the product that I've used for so long. I didn't realize it was the operational system. So in 2018, we manufactured the box and the slash pockets. And you could create your own system. Many people do. The difference between creating your own system and my system is if you are organizationally challenged and or you're overwhelmed and don't want to create something from scratch, everyone who does the Sunday basket with the Sunday basket system does it the same way. And the colors mean something. So, like when you were in school and math was a certain color and history was a certain color and science was a certain color, that's how this box is also. So your family color is blue. So if it's a person, it's blue. If it's house related, it's purple. If it's finance related, it's green. If it's something related to you, it's pink. So having that universal color system allows you not only to succeed at the system easier because it's color coded, but it also allows you to be in the community and ask questions of each other and find out how other people are doing their Sunday baskets, and you're speaking a common language.
That makes a lot of sense. So you were talking about community. Explain that a little bit more.
Oh my goodness, I love my community. So back in the day, Facebook groups, right? I mean, they still exist, but I haven't been on Facebook for a long time. And I found I liked Instagram better than Facebook because Instagram was like positive and Facebook was like drama. And I was like, I don't need any more drama in my life. Thank you very much. So I wanted to step away from Facebook. And I had some of my audience members who had paid for the programs and didn't want to be on Facebook for whatever reason. They just didn't want to. And I thought, well, if you buy a program that has an ongoing community component, everybody should be able to participate. So I have a private app that I pay for. And it's like Facebook, but it's not Facebook. There are no algorithms. There are no ads. There's no way anybody can see what you post. And inside of this community, there are feeds for the different products you have. And then there's a general feed. But also there are other professional organizers on our team that walk you through doing these programs. So for the Sunday basket, on Sunday, 40 weeks out of the year, on Sunday, there's a 90-minute club that you can go to and do your Sunday basket with other people. So it holds you accountable. You don't have to feel like you're doing it alone, and an ongoing feed so you can ask a bunch of questions. And all of our products have that. There's a course where I'm the teacher teaching you how to do it. And then there's a community where you can ask questions of your classmates. And then there's a teacher who's going to teach, a co-working component sometime during the week.
Is this like a subscription also?
No, it's free. Once you buy the
gosh.
products, like the Sunday basket's $179, you have lifetime access to the club. So some people have been in the club for 8 years. I
Oh,
definitely
wow.
could have had a subscription. Yeah, I could have had a subscription component. Here's the thing. No one has a budget for organizing their household. Like it's not a line item. And when women want to invest in organization, often they feel guilty that they need to. And if they're married, their spouse makes them feel guilty that they need the course, which is ridiculous,
Yes.
if you ask me. So I know that I'm up against those limiting beliefs. So you're going to pay for the course, and the Sunday basket's only $179. Some of the other programs are a little bit more, but it's less than the cost of preschool to get every single thing I have. And then you have lifetime access to all of the groups that you're in. The only thing that has a recurring fee is the planning day that I do myself 3 times a year, and it's a live 4-hour event.
Oh, I think this is wonderful. I love it. 'Cause I was thinking about that because you take courses, and a lot of people that I know, they're constantly trying to do self-improvement.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking course after course after course. And I love that you have this all in your bundles, even your complete home organization bundle. I'm like,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
everything.
and yes, it can be a shock to people when they first look at it. But then in my mind, I start breaking it down. Well, how many courses,
Mm-hmm.
how many times have I
Right.
gone to see speakers, or how many times have I gone online to learn something that I didn't understand? And, has it really helped my family in our finances and figuring things out, keeping myself organized, taking and alleviating a lot of the stresses that I have, it all adds up. And the time component, like time is money. So for anybody that it works outside the home, or if they work inside the home and they're working their
Right.
business, but it's like, oh, well, this part of their lives always gets left over.
Well, and here's the thing. If there was a recurring membership to it, then it injects guilt into the program, in my opinion. Like I was raised with a lot of guilt and a lot of judgment, and I have learned to give myself grace. And so everything in Organize 365 should be additive and should give you grace. It should not make you feel judged, and it should not give you any guilt whatsoever.
Yes.
So once you purchase whatever you purchase, there's always a physical component too. So you get the physical component, you get access to the course. Here's what inevitably happens to me. I don't know about you. I'm like, oh yes, I'm going to do this thing. Insert credit card, buy whatever. And then you get the flu or something, and you're like, dang it. And it was a timed subscription. Now you're trying to do it while you have the flu, or your mother-in-law breaks her back, and now you're trying to do it because you want to get the value out. That is so stressful. And we are going to have so many unexpected events in our life. I know that. So you buy the course, you want the transformation, you will have lifetime access to that transformation and that group with no additional fee. Now you have to find the time to do it, but I know that you can do it. And like the Sunday Basket, for example, I've had people who bought it before COVID, and they're emailing us now, hey, I bought this back in 2019 and I'm ready to do it. We're like, great. Here's your login. Like, and they're like, okay, or I'm in a new phase of life. I need to restart it again. Great. Log in. Let's go.
And that's a game changer in itself. That really helps people out, because you're right. Life, it's so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to be thrown at you.
Right.
I was going to ask you too, and you have a podcast, which is absolutely fantastic. How does the podcast work with this?
Well, I mean, it doesn't. So the problem with the podcast, like you, I've been doing this for 11 years. We've got 1,000 episodes. So if a new person goes to the podcast, they're like, where do I start? I've grown a lot over that decade. I went from being overwhelmed when I started the podcast to now I almost have my PhD in applied psychology, and I'm looking at this from an academic lens. So in there, you can Google search for whatever you want to be learning about, but really it's an ongoing conversation just like this, talking about our households, the importance of our households, the importance of you as the household manager, leveling up your mindset around what it takes to be the CEO of your home, and thinking about yourself as the CEO of the home and your needs as important to and equal to the other people you care for. I think self-care is caring for ourselves the way that we care for others, and we need to care for ourselves so that we can care for others. It's not selfish. It's not a bubble bath. It's you care for the kids and you care for yourself and you care for your elders. Like you are part of the people that we are caring for. So those are the kind of conversations that we have.
Well, I like how you
solo. So it's just me talking to me and you.
But I think it's wonderful because I like how you said the CEO of your family and your home. And a lot of people don't realize how important that is. They think, oh, well, life outside the house is more important. But you realize if you don't have a strong home and a strong foundation, nothing outside even matters. Nothing outside will work anyways.
That's true. And also there's a real economic implication. So 68% of US GDP is household spending, meaning that how the household manager decides to spend money is basically how the whole world revolves. I was on a podcast being interviewed last week, a male podcast. And when I said that the CEO of the home, the household manager, is responsible for, the value of her business is all of the revenue that comes into the house. And this podcast were, multi-six-figure entrepreneurs. And they were like, you mean she's running a multi-six-figure business? I said, yeah, she is. And he was like, whoa, I never thought about that before. You think about when you earn the money in the marketplace, like you are, this multi-six-figure, seven-figure, whatever entrepreneur. Well, all households, are usually 5 figures. Some are 6 figures. Like the economics of running a household is significant, and it is significant for the economy.
Exactly. I love this. And I know that all of our listeners out there are going to really identify with that, because a lot of them don't have the confidence and they don't realize how important this job is to look after things. And you've just nailed it. And I hope that if you just want to put a plug right now to your podcast so that they can go and check that out.
Sure. It's just called Organize 365. It's everywhere you can find podcasts.
Wonderful. Okay. So now I want to talk about May the 1st. Okay. What is that date? Why is that significant? And what are you planning on doing with that date?
Okay. So that is my next planning day. Wow. You do a lot of research, don't you?
Yes, I do. I was just wanting you to explain a little bit more about what that means to you and what you're going to be doing that day.
Okay, so this is something that I learned years ago. My new book coming out is called Escaping Quicksand, and I reverse engineered how did I change my mindset enough to get my house organized when I was in my 40s? Because my mindset was in the dumpster, let's just say. Well, along the way, once I got my house organized, I realized that the physical organization is what we always think about, like, oh, I just want my house to look organized when I walk in. And I did achieve that. But once you achieve that, what you do is you unlock a bunch of time. And I have a lot of ideas. So once I unlocked my time, I was like, ooh, I could actually get to some of these projects that I've bought and I haven't done. So I did those. And then I ran out of those. I was like, ooh, well, what else do I want to do? And I realized that in business, we plan quarterly. I have no idea why. We do taxes quarterly, we plan quarterly. It's totally arbitrary. But when I think about my life as a former student, as a teacher, and as a household manager, I plan 3 times a year. So in August, I plan for September through December. In January, I plan for January through May. And in May, I plan for the summer. It's just a natural cadence we have as Americans to how we plan. So I started inviting people to plan with me, like all the ways I think about planning. As I look to a new season, I think about like, okay, what foods am I going to feed my family, or what foods do I want to eat? How am I going to spend my time? When am I going to do my laundry? How am I going to get my housework done? What are the goals I want to set and achieve in this 4-month block of time? 4 months tends to be long enough to accomplish a pretty big goal, but short enough that you can't just let it ride out there forever and you have a whole year to accomplish it. And so it's a 4-hour long planning day that I do with people. And then there's a replay for 6 weeks after.
Holy cow. That is brilliant. I love that. And won't that's going to alleviate so much stress in people's lives. You're thinking about it right now. It's like, wow, that's a lot of time. But in my mind, it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, but if you do the time right there, like you're saying, then those 4 months are looked after.
Mhm. So we do it every 4 months. And actually, I've added on to it because I realized that it is like drinking from a fire hose. I mean, I've been to a lot of professional development ever since I was a child. I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, so I use a lot of business principles inside of this household planning and how I understand time. And we look at time so many different ways. And so the first time you come, you're like, whoa, I have never thought about planning this way, period, but definitely not in my household. And so it's very overwhelming. I tell people the first time you come, just come, pop the popcorn, get some coffee, and just watch it as if you're at a live event, and then rewatch the replay. But recently, I just added 2 days before we come and we do prep. And in prep, we actually go through the Sunday basket if you have one and some of these other systems, and we get all of our data and information that we're going to need for planning day, just like you would with strategic planning at work.
I love this. This is so great. I am so glad that you came onto our podcast. And this has been so wonderful, Lisa. And I do want to chat a little bit last minute here about escaping quicksand. And I want to know why you decided to write that and how our listeners can get a copy of it.
Okay, so I'm so glad you asked. Thank you so much. Escaping Quicksand is my new book that's coming out on June 23rd. And this is not how to get organized. And it is not what it looks like even to feel organized. This is like the book before that. This is like the prequel. Like, what do you need to change in your mindset before you're even ready to undertake these bigger projects? Or why is all the effort that you're putting into your house not really yielding the results that you want? There could be some mindset shifts that need to change, things that are invisible to us that I have made visible. So, like, some of them are, a lot of us have a perfectionistic tendency. And we all have heard, like, I'm not a perfectionist. And for a while I said, yeah, I'm not a perfectionist. But then I replaced that with, so what's the point? Like, if you can't hit perfection, I'm like, why even try? So I replaced that with, I'm a woman of excellence. When you're living under perfection, there is judgment. When you're living under excellence, there is grace and there is striving and there is attaining for whatever you're capable of doing right now. And there is good enough. But perfection is always judging and you're doing it for someone else. That's one of the mindset shifts. Another mindset shift is understanding why Swiss cheese organizing doesn't work. Everyone's spending plenty of time doing housework and organizing. It's not like you have an effort problem. It's the order in which you're trying to organize your house is the problem. It's an order of operations problem. And if you change the order in which you organize the spaces in your house, you actually will get organized in a year. So it's things like that. Things like, why do we do the housework we do? Like, where did you get that idea? And I really question that and have you think about, like, what housework do you want to do? At some point, every single woman is going to get moving to the point where life is going to run them over and they're going to feel like roadkill on the side of the road. How do you then reinsert yourself back into that life? And how do you have your care needs met along with all of your family members? Now, I'm super excited about the pre-order bonus. Can I share that?
Yes, please do that.
Okay. So I'm obviously a teacher and a podcaster, and I like friends. So my pre-order bonus is if you pre-order the book anywhere you want to, the hardcover book anywhere you want to, and then go to organize365.com, there'll be a place for you to put in the code that you just got for your order, your receipt for your order, and then you'll get into our app that we talked about earlier. You'll get in the Escaping Quicksand Book Club. So in the book club, starting March 3rd, we're going to be dropping one audio chapter of the book a week. So you'll actually hear the whole entire book before it's even launched. And we're going to have group discussion. So you'll listen to a chapter of the book, and then I'll put in a short little video about, anything I want to add to that chapter. And then we'll have a big group discussion. And we have almost 1,000 people in that group already. It's going to be the biggest party. And it's a great way to implement a professional development book. I mean, how often have you bought a book and you read it and are like, oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. And then you're done. Whereas this way, you're only going to get a chapter a week. And so then you're going to really be encouraged to apply those chapters as you go through.
I love your marketing strategy. I think this is just brilliant. This is so much fun, and to do it with other people.
Yeah, I just want more friends.
No, and you have friends that you have something in common with too.
Yeah, we're all working towards the same goal. And it makes it so much easier because when you're doing things in your house, you feel so isolated and alone and like you're the only one. No, we're all feeling this way. We're all feeling this way.
When you can have those connections and you're locking arms with other people, it makes things so much better. It alleviates a lot of stress. And Lisa, you are doing so many fantastic things and supporting and assisting and helping so many people out there. So thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, thank you.
This has been so much fun. I just want to do another shout out for your Organization 365 links tab there. And for anybody that's going to be checking out this amazing website, you've got to go to this links page because there is so much on here. You've got your replays, but you've got Lisa's favorite things, which is ideas to help you with organization. And it's got everything that a person can want, even a newsletter that they can sign up for, correct?
Yep. And I just send one email a week. I write it, and right now I'm changing it. So it's just going to be a photo out of my phone and a letter from me. I live with my daughter, my husband and I, and our daughter live together, and my 2 grandkids. So I have a 6-week-old grandson and a 4-year-old grandson, and they are my everything.
Oh, congratulations on that. And so the last minute thing I want to ask you, Lisa, if you don't mind, is there any tips, tools, things that you'd love to share with our listeners today?
Yeah, my biggest tip, and we didn't even mention on here, my biggest tip is to not use your brain to remember anything and to write every single thing down. When I really embraced this habit a couple of years ago and just stopped trying to remember anything at all, my brain was opened up to make so many more synergies and think and do so many more creative things. Now, yeah, it creates a lot of little papers, but that's okay. That's what the Sunday basket's for.
And Lisa, I hope that you come back on our podcast again soon. We are doing these podcasting series every 2 months, and we have a different theme and topic. And I hope that you are able to come back on and share some more of your wisdom.
Oh, I'd love to.
Oh, wonderful. I'm excited. And for all of our listeners, I will be posting all of Lisa's information on her social media so that you can like, share, and comment and pass it on to as many people as you can. I think that's really important. And so especially this kind of stuff, because I know a lot of you have reached out to us, and this is something that we've all struggled with. And I really love the ideas that Lisa has. And I really think that there's a solution for everybody out there. So make sure you go check that out. And also, remember, everybody, do something kind. It's so important to do that little bit of kindness. It's that ripple effect. So make sure you do something kind today. And until next time, everyone, have a fantastic day.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.